I know exactly what you think I'm gonna say. You're gonna think I'm gonna say, oh my god, Opar wore eyeliner and eyeshadow and makeup and wore a skirt one time on GQ Korea and it was so gender and I unlocked my gender, but I didn't give a about them. I cared about handsome girls. I'm talking about Moonbyul. I'm talking about Barali. I'm talking about, yes, even Amber. Honestly, probably Amber the most at the beginning. Little Egg was obsessed with tomboys. I thought I wanted to be one. I wanted to have a flat chest and short hair and be mistaken for a boy at least 99.9% of the times. But I still wanted to identify as a woman. I wanted to be like Sailor Uranus, where all the girls had giant crushes on her and she was a masculine presenting woman. I wanted to be like Seiya from the Sailor Scouts. I wanted to be like Fancy Red. I first found out about Fancy Red through this Vice video right here on HBO, talking about how China's biggest boy group is made up of 5 handsome girls. Originally, they were a Chinese group called FFC A Crush, but then later had a Korean debut and were later known as Fancy Red and debuted with their single Top. They did everything a boy group would, from baggy clothes to the 2012 eyeliner, short haircuts, and they developed a pretty good fan base for themselves who were in love with their androgynous look. Their choreography was even on the more masculine side, and I'm not sure if they added male backup vocals to their first song, T.O.P., but it kind of sounds like it to me. I mean, just look at this. It was like so freaking cool. I was amazed, and I wanted to be exactly like them. I wanted to be a masculine woman who was able to be mistaken for a boy, but never being thought of as a man. The idea of being transgender was still not an option I saw for myself. Instead, I became obsessed with this idea of being a tomboy. And I found myself extremely annoyed with this group. I loved them, but anytime I found an angle where their features looked too feminine or where their chest didn't look completely flat, I became extremely annoyed for some reason. And no one made me have this feeling more than Shinliu. You might recognize them from season 2 of the idol survival show called Youth With You. She had this coolness about her. She had this charisma and was a great dancer. She even played the piano and composed her own songs. All the girls would squeal whenever she performed. She was just so cool. Even Lisa from Blackpink, who was guest judging in the show, freaking loved her. Like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, if you make Lisa from Blackpink blush, you could say you're the shit, man. You are the shit. People fell in love with how honest she was about just herself and how comfortable she was in her masculine presentation. Funny enough, 2 members from the group Fancy Red also joined the survival show, and one of them, named Luke Ran, sorry for that pronunciation, they ended up debuting with Shinliu. Shinliu became the leader, and they ended up being in a group called the 9. Since then, Shinliu ended up doing some solo work. She's been on the cover of multiple magazines, doing awesome modeling gigs, and even had a collaboration with Boa. Boa. Look at this. Look how this was, oh my god. Guys, I can't even describe how awesome this was. First of all, Boa? Like, enough said there. Seeing her completely destroy her competition and talking about her struggles, about how companies were worried that she wouldn't fit into the idol look, was really inspirational. And despite all of this, she still worked her ass off. At one point, she felt pressured in the show to wear a skirt like the other contestants, but came in wearing shorts, stating that she was more comfortable with it. Quote, Yushin, your outfit is different from the rest. Does it stress you out? Yushin, it does quite a bit actually. Yesterday, I was still contemplating whether I should wear a skirt, but I think the show is about X, the unknown possibilities. Therefore, I like to continue doing what I do, and this is why I changed back into shorts. Whether girls like us can dance to girl groups, songs, in my opinion, is a topic that was already discussed in the last century. So I will do my very best to be the theme song challenge's center. No matter how many skeptical opinions there may be, there is one thing I firmly believe, and that is I have to be true to myself. I think we, the girls of Class A, are capable of taking on any kind of concept. Courage is the only answer. She had a giant impact even outside of the show. There was this video on YouTube that went viral that said a butch girl gets bullied by her classmate's social experiment, where her name was mentioned to the butch person being bullied in this situation in order for them to find some sort of comfort and like they're not alone. The bystander in the experiment talking about how they're super cool and super handsome and that they have a lot of followers and that they're just like them and that they think it's awesome that they're dressing like themselves. It didn't come to my head that the way these actors were bullying this butch girl was the same way I was acting towards myself. Repression. Repression, the act of subduing someone or something by force. I was scared of being a man because men were the thing I were taught to fear. I grew up in a very openly feminist rhetoric kind of community, and you know, I had many traumatizing experiences with men myself, and I knew a lot of other women who had a shit ton of traumatizing experiences with other men. And here I am trying to be exactly what I was taught was the worst thing on earth, but I knew the idea of being a man just felt right in my head. While I'm here, check out this video that goes more into that. I really liked and kind of helped me sort my own thoughts. I had a very small idea of what a man was and not what a man could be. In my head, I was becoming this monster. And I know it sounds dramatic, when instead I should have been thinking that I was transforming into myself. A man who cried, a man who was genuinely kind and nice and was really into fashion and loved dancing and loved baking, and maybe I wasn't the broiest of bros, the most machos of man, but I was something more important. I was a man I could be proud of. I had a very small idea of what a man was and what a man could be that stemmed from a lot of trauma. I'm going off script here because my script sucks. I was attracted to men and I wanted men to be attracted to me. So I built this character of this very feminine woman persona, and I kept this persona because I was scared this masculine part of me could never be loved. I thought maybe I was non-binary, I just love being both, but that wasn't the case. I kept thinking, oh, I'm just bisexual, or maybe I'm just a lesbian dyke. But I'm like, no, that's wrong, because I'm still attracted to men, but men only liked feminine women, or at least my insecure mind told me so. So I put on the high heels and tight dress because I was already ugly. People already said I looked like a boy, and that was before the hormones. Of course they won't like you as you are. And so I lived vicariously through A-Crush, through Shinryu, through Bada, through Amber. And I was obsessed with how, in my mind, they always had to look masculine. No one could ever know they were a woman. They would have to look like men. I was pressuring these idols who I don't know. I hated the idea of looking like a lesbian, which is a problem in itself on my own. I was projecting so hard because the truth was I was a bigger person. I was chubby, I had long hair, I couldn't achieve this thin androgynous body like they had, so I just lived through them. I was torn between my true self and shedding the role I was told to play my whole life, the one people wanted. I grew up thinking that if I was pretty enough, a prince would come eventually. Figured out I actually wanted to be the prince the whole damn time. I tried so hard to be a woman, whatever that means, for so long because it felt like a title that didn't belong to me. Because beauty standards told me I wasn't woman enough. Because I grew up where Eurocentric beauty was the norm, where the ideal woman looked like this, and someone who looked like me could never truly be a woman. That has a lot to do with race and how we masculinize colored women. When I discovered being trans and when I was starting to become more open with myself, these same pressures I was placing on these idols, I started placing on myself. I completely hid my body, I cut my hair, the whole shabam. I was very happy, I felt very natural in my masculinity. I remember when I first started hormones and looking in the mirror and thinking, wow, this is the first time I've actually ever seen myself. I'm over the trying to look super mask phase. I'm exploring my femininity in a different light, but not for anyone else, but for myself. But it's just so funny to see how I fought so hard to be feminine when it wasn't what I wanted at all. It was just something I was told that I should want. For me, accepting the fact that I was trans meant accepting the fact that it's a possibility that I could never be loved. And that is something I don't think anyone should ever think. But it was the rhetoric at the time I had in my head, and the rhetoric the media had shown me. I was tired of performing for other people, and I mean everyone. I was tired of performing for men. I was tired of performing for women. I was tired of performing for other queer people in the community. I just wanted to be myself. Now I don't care about what anyone thinks about me. I just want to be hot. Yeah, I just want to be hot. If you have any thoughts to share about any of the points I had, whether it be the handsome girl obsession or the fear of men and being trans, or the fear of never being able to be loved as a trans person, or anything I had to say in this video, comment. Let me know. I want to hear what you have to say, and I'm sure a lot of people would be grateful for you to share your opinion on these topics. Anyways, that's the video. Bye. Later, stranger.